Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live. Talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynncullenshow@gmail.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Hello there, and welcome to the program. It's the 10th of April, and guess who blinked? God almighty. So he blinked, and yet he wants us to believe that this was the plan all along. This was the plan. And look what we got for his ingenious negotiating and bully boy tactics. I give you the company the company line. It's what the brainwashed millions watching Fox will be hearing. President Trump's master strategy, bold statesmanship, and brilliant tactical planning has done more to reform broken international trade in days than anyone has achieved in decades, while economically and politically isolating the global architect of economic aggression, China. Yeah. That is the statement from Stephen Miller. This was brilliance. This was statesmanship. Make no mistake. Oh boy. How much more of this statesmanship do you think we're going to have to live through? I suspect, knowing the genius at the helm, that we'll continue to see this. So we have what? A 90-day pause now, but not a pause with the biggest boy on the block other than us, and that would be China. And China ain't blinking and ain't going to. So this will continue. And this kind of whiplash that we're going to be living in is, of course, the kind of environment in which capitalists looking to plant their money, entrepreneurs looking to perhaps build something, are understandably not going to be inclined to do so, because you need a measure of stability for them to act, if they're acting in an intelligent, fiduciarily responsible manner. And see, using these tariffs, the threat of them, the imposition of them, then the taking back of them just for 30 days or 90 days. Trump sees that as a negotiating tool. But that ain't going to create the kind of stability that, the guys with the big bucks want to, let's say, build a new factory. He says he wants to bring manufacturing back. I happen to read that right here in Pennsylvania, this chaos has already cost the potential for job creating factory development in Erie, Pennsylvania, that was on, I mean, it was going to happen. A group called the International Recycling Group has now announced that it is scrapping plans for a large recycling operation that they were going to put up in Erie, creating jobs in Erie, doing good work on top of it, recycling tons and tons and tons of plastic waste, and then making the plastic waste into a product that would be sold to the steel industry for use in some process that they are now using, uh, which is incredible, taking recycled plastics and making it part of steel production. Don't ask me what, but that was. And this company just announced, sorry, ain't doing it. We scrapped it. It's off the table. And they were having, admittedly, they were having difficulty uh, getting in the capital, the investors, uh, the financing they needed for the project because of this economic chaos that Trump has created, and that, of course, the future clearly will also have. That wasn't a very well done sentence, was it? One of the things that had made this company, by the way, uh, decide to build this plant was an infusion of money from the United States Department of Energy under the Biden administration, secured through the legislation that Biden passed and the Congress passed and Biden signed, which was called the Inflation Reduction Act. And that provided the kind of incentive and the kind of stability that these entrepreneurs and capitalists like, so that they can move forward. Trump, of course, comes into office and pulls the rug out from that. And then, as this particular company struggled to make up the difference in the funds lost, they found a lot of reluctant investors. Understandable. So that just as an aside to what occurs when you have this erratic policy, if it can be said to be a policy, this from the gut with this lunatic thinking that he's an ingenious negotiator. And you just can't expect growth with this kind of uncertainty. It takes years to conceive the idea of a factory, of getting the investors, of doing the construction, of creating it. That takes years. How many times will Trump change his mind in the years that it might take a factory to go from idea, aspiration, to completion. And I don't think that any careful entrepreneur, somebody with the money, is going to want to gamble that he can trust, or she can trust, that Trump won't create another economic cataclysm, throwing their plans and their money away. And it's so bizarre. I hate Wall Street. I hate the whole stock market thing. That these jerks can go from, despondency, despair, and then elation within a split second as Trump, belches out a change in his plan, if you want to call it a plan. And then the markets soar. But I assure you, they will reverse course in a split second because the markets are much like Trump. They don't think. They're not long term. They react. And so you can see even today, I guess the markets are, already, I don't know about that irrational exuberance of yesterday. And again, is this good for business? I'm not a business person, but I'm not an idiot. And I can tell you, when you have no sense of what the future holds, you ain't going to be making grand plans requiring you to invest a lot of money. Um, there was a piece in the, I think, Washington Post that detailed how Trump came to make his reversal yesterday. And it should not surprise you that it heavily involved watching Fox News. That's what this guy does. He watches Fox News. And because all the people around him know that, and Fox News knows it, they staged a kind of intervention on Tuesday night on Sean Hannity's show, apparently. So they had like every senator, Republican senator, that Trump might in fact listen to, and in the aggregate listen to, show up on Hannity's show on Tuesday night. Let me see the list. It's all of them, and one after the other. Kennedy from Louisiana, I believe Graham, Thune, the majority leader, Scott of Tom Cotton, Cruz of Texas, all these guys on the same, they were all there together, a most unusual sight. All the big Republican senators on Hannity's show Tuesday night, 8 p.m., 9 p.m., I guess, knowing that the one person they were talking to would be listening. In fact, the Washington Post article had said that Lindsey Graham assured them that if they showed up on Hannity, they would be talking to the president and providing the kind of uniform front they were sure to make an impression. And in fact, Senator Kennedy from Louisiana, actually on the show, said to Hannity, if I could, for just 15 seconds, speak directly to the president on these tariffs. God almighty. And so they did. And so Trump, of course, was watching the show and taking it in. And Trump, of course, watches the stock markets and the bond markets. And then Trump, the next morning, yesterday, watched as the head of JP Morgan Chase, that would be Jamie Dimon, said that he was very concerned and that he would say that a recession was a likely outcome of what Trump was doing. And recessions aren't good for anybody, but even Trump knows they ain't good for politicians. And after Dimon spoke, that was about it. And Trump makes the switch. He tells himself and anybody who would listen that this was the plan, this was the grand strategy all along. But the Post also reports that even inside the White House, senior level officials were totally blindsided by Trump's reversal. They knew nothing of it. The chaos he creates is the chaos in which he lives as well. And I see in the New York Times today this, again showing the genius of this tariff war that he has started and then paused and then he'll start again and then pause. Headline, New York Times today. Many companies are seeing China as safest harbor. And that is disquieting because if this is devolving essentially into a trade war between us and China, and companies globally and investors looking at these two players and assessing these two are understandably seeing China as the more stable environment in which to invest. So there's this article that if you read will Yiko show that this grand strategy, if you choose to call it that, is backfiring all over the place. It says here, for many companies, the prospect of so-called reciprocal tariffs has had the unexpected effect of making China an even more appealing place to produce their products and to buy from. And it has, this trade war has eliminated for a lot of companies the motivation to diversify their production or their sourcing of their raw materials to places like Vietnam or India or other Asian countries. Because again, those economies still do not seem as capable of withstanding the volatility as does China. And the chaos that has been created by the tariffs on, the tariffs off, the tariffs bigger, the tariffs paused, has made companies wary about taking on any more change to the supply chains that they now have. So, faced with this constant unpredictability, companies are going to stay with what they know. And what they have known is long-standing relationship with Chinese suppliers or manufacturing partners. A Denver-based maker of bedding is quoted as saying, "Staying in China and making China work is everybody's strategy right now." That's an American company. Staying with China is everyone's strategy right now. And he had just come from a business conference of American entrepreneurs that was held this week. And he said all he heard from all the attendees was not devoting time to finding new partners, new suppliers, new production facilities, but to stick with, to create for themselves some measure of stability. And the only stability that they could feel comfortable betting on was China. And there again, you have the brilliance of Donald Trump. I also saw a big story today about Trump. Where's this quote? It's just, here it is. Donald Trump, surrounded by coal miners at the White House yesterday, says here he always likes to be, he loves coal miners because they are to him, they embody his sense of a man. And in fact, it says he hand wrestled some of them. I wonder if they let him win. Everybody lets him win. He says this. He's signing executive orders. I think he signed just 4 yesterday that had to do with coal. And man, they do exactly what you think they would do. They get rid of air pollution limits. They get rid of any regulations on coal that has been imposed by the Biden administration. They, in fact, lift restrictions on the mining and burning of the dirtiest coal that one can find. And so Trump said this: I call it beautiful, clean coal. I tell my people to never use the word coal unless you put beautiful, clean before it. God. And then he railed against of course, environmentalists said that, all the usual things. But see, here's the thing. And again, if he knew anything, he would know this. The biggest reason coal has declined as a source of energy in the last few decades is not mostly because of environmental green policies. It's because of fracking. It's because of cheap natural gas from fracking. According to a study in the Rand Journal of Economics, low natural gas prices accounted for nearly all the decline in coal plant profitability between 2005 and 2015, as well as the resulting retirement of hundreds of coal-fired power plants. Not woke environmentalists. And then recall that Trump's the one who says, drill, baby, drill, and is making it opening all kinds of, pristine land and seas up to oil drilling, which will, of course, put more economic pressure on coal. So he told these burly miners that he is going to revive their industry and bring back beautiful, clean coal. And as Rust Belt tells me here in chat, he reminds me that Trump actually thinks they scrub the coal to make it clean. Oh my God, oh my God. I'm looking at, by the way, I have a sculpture here in the room I'm sitting in. It's the most, I just think it's so incredibly beautiful. And it is made out of coal, pieces of coal that are strung together. So it's hanging, it moves. These hanging strings of coal move, and they are positioned in such a way as to look to be a frame, a huge, like black framed window that is exploding. And when I saw it, I went nuts, and because to me it was a metaphor for the coal industry that has been, and was so central to this area where I live. And well, it's truly just a beautiful piece, and it moves. If you push it a little, it'll start swaying, and it's coal. I wouldn't think of burning it. But see, here's the other thing. Because this administration is run by such fools that they're constantly doing things that, on any reflection, work against each other, make no sense. As I said, drill, baby, drill, while saying he's bringing back coal. not even understanding why coal production is suffering, why mining is suffering. And we do know that these coal miners he loves to use as photo props are putting their lives at risk in this job, and have always put their lives at risk in these jobs. And I bring this up because the other thing that Trump has done, his administration, who the hell knows if he knows, is that a governmental agency, the Mine Safety and Health Administration, which of course, just by virtue of its name, you can imagine its mission to ensure as much as possible the safety and health of these mostly men who venture deep into the ground to extract the coal. And because this area has been such a huge part of that industry, the most active mine safety center in the nation, the most active field office of the Federal Mine Safety and Health Administration is here. And it employs people who, I guess, then, by virtue of being employed by the Mine Safety and Health Administration, are what? Federal workers. And turns out that the Mine Safety and Health Administration, which for as long as we've been alive, has been entrusted with the protection of miners, is expected to be gutted. The most active of its centers here is expected to be closed down, along with 33 other Mine Safety and Health Administration offices. And that's thanks to Elon Musk and Doge. This came out of the blue for these workers, and of course suggests that no one is going to be looking after the health and the safety of the people who Trump likes to romanticize, these coal miners. I wonder if the miners standing behind him, arm wrestling with him, knew. I wonder. And speaking of tactical retreats, Trump wasn't the only one retreating yesterday. Elon Musk and his Doge team have made a really big retreat from their assault on the Social Security Administration, where they've been terrorizing the employees, throwing out the employees, but also terrorizing the American people and recipients of Social Security benefits. The chaos, one senator called it just head-spinning chaos at Social Security offices all over the country. The fear of so many Americans that they would not be receiving their benefits. And what they did was they've trashed the website. It has crashed literally almost every single day for the last 2 weeks. Offices have been closed. People have been told that what they used to do by picking up the phone, they couldn't do anymore. And in fact, they couldn't do anymore in many reasons because there wasn't anybody on the other end to answer the damn phone. So old people were told to go to the website, and the website kept crashing. People stood in line for hours outside field offices that are in danger of being closed, desperate to prove that they exist because they were told that the Trump administration is saying that they all are a bunch of fraudsters. Or, as the vice president said emphatically just the other day, that 40% of Social Security recipients are committing fraud. Well, they backtracked. They say the phones are back. I don't know if did they have to ask the people back to answer them? Because what's a phone if you can't get an answer? It's unbelievable. And get this, these are the guys who are supposedly going after fraud. The chaos they created with Social Security was seen by some entrepreneurial types as an incredible opportunity. And I'm talking about crooks. I'm talking about scammers. Because all of this chaos has led to what is known to be an explosion in scams aimed at senior citizens, most prone to being taken in by this crap, telling them, sending them emails, and telling them that they are representing Social Security and instructing them that they have to reapply and their personal information, Social Security number, etc., is needed. And you can only imagine how many older, frightened people have fallen prey. Incredible. And J.D. Vance, you can't make this up. Where is it? I want to get it just right. Yeah, here. The vice president has claimed that 40% of the people who call Social Security are committing fraud. Says here, I think this is Washington Post too, the vice president was misinterpreting a statistic previously published by the agency that said about 40% of fraud related to direct deposit bank account changes is associated with a phone call. What this actually means, if our genius vice president had looked a little more closely, is that about, now stick with me here, instead of 40% of the fraud he claimed, that about 0.00625%. I mean, what is that? Less than a thousandth of a percent of Social Security benefits are lost to direct deposit fraud every year. With 0.0025%, less than what? I'm not good at numbers. I mean, that's not even 0.5%. That's not even 1/4. That's not 1/10. That's 100th and 1,000th lost through calls. And yet, here's a guy with a megaphone in front of his mouth who's going around and I'm sure showing up on Fox News and all that right-wing media and telling people who will take away from it that 40% of the people who are getting Social Security benefits are getting them fraudulently. You can't make this stuff up. The stupidity, the willful venality, the mind-blowing incompetence. Caller, go ahead.
Hi, Lynn. This
Hi.
is Devin. I go by Rockdale Expeditions on your channel.
Oh, okay. Hi.
I'm way down in Greene County.
Mm-hmm.
I'm way down in Greene County. I've called you before. I want to give you a little insight on like coal miners. And for years, like in the 50s and the 60s, coal miners worked their asses off to put their kids through school, so they wouldn't have to live. They wouldn't have to work in the mines and stuff.
Yeah.
My mother and my uncle were two of those people. My grandfather was a coal miner. So and that's been generational. I mean, we are like in the middle of coal country here. We have the largest underground mine on the East Coast, for one. There's an abandoned mine underneath my house. We have a tribute to the coal industry, celebration to it every year here in my town. Mm-hmm. My next door neighbor is a supervisor at the mine. Mm-hmm. So we're very much coal country, but the big thing that's been replacing that has been natural gas.
That's right.
I'd say there's 20 natural gas wells within about a mile of my house.
Yeah, I was going to say you're a fracking area now, huge fracking.
Yes, very much so. That's why coal's dying off. They get cheap gas. There are so many abandoned gas wells in this state that they've been trying to get them all capped. I mean, that's how big of a gas rush there was in the past, and it's the coal-fired plant I used to pass up. We go shopping over in Uniontown all the time because there's not much shopping here. We'll go on 21. It used to be Hatfield Ferry power plant. Greenpeace protested there one time during the early 2000s. Mm-hmm. But that plant's gone now. It's been demolished. It's kind of weird because it was this big, huge thing that you'd see. That thing had been there since like the early 60s, and it's gone. They built a new power plant a few miles up the river from there. That's natural gas. There's another natural gas one across the river from where that one used to be. It's gas is replacing coal, and that's the way it's going. It's not because there's some kind of war on coal or anything. It's just because gas is cheaper, and that's what these power plants go with.
That's right. That's right.
But yeah, like all this bullshit about miners. Oh, I'm a proud miner, and all that. And I want to have my kids work in the mine and all that kind of stuff. That's BS.
Yeah.
coal miners want their kids to get out of their area as much as they love them, but they don't want them to be living there. I mean, that happened when I've grown up here. I've lived here 47 years now,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what all the coal miners' dads did when I was a kid. They wanted their kids to get a college education and get a job somewhere else, so they didn't have to work in the mines. Nobody works in the mines because of it. They're proud of it and everything. They do it for the money because it's usually the only high-paying job around.
Mm-hmm.
So, like Trump's, goddamn, he's such a bullshit artist, man.
So I mean, I'm curious because my sense is that the miners in general vote for him.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're going to probably vote for somebody that says, I'm going to save your industry and save your job.
Okay.
So, yeah, I think that's a good part of it. Because
So
they realize that their industry is on the way out. So, I don't know. My county went for Trump, and I have no idea why, because he just dumps on rural areas like this all the time.
Yeah. It's incredible.
Yeah. He treats us like shit and forgets us.
That's right. And they keep
rewarding
him.
He's just and they keep putting him back in office. I just don't get it.
Well, I think because they can't stand the so-called coastal elites even more. So Trump's their guy.
Well, what the hell is Trump? I mean, he grew up in New York City, went to expensive colleges.
Your problem is
never worked. The man has never worked a physical job in his entire life. I doubt he's ever bought his own groceries, done his own shopping, driven his own car, ever.
Yeah.
Well, so what makes people think that he's so in touch with the working man? I just don't get it.
No, it does blow one's mind. Yeah. So hey, thank you for calling. I mean, it's a great perspective, and I thank you for being there.
Thanks.
Okay,
thank you, and I hope to call you again soon.
I hope so too. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Oh gosh, guys, man. Hey, did you see, and I just haven't gotten it in, that Trump's gonna pave the Rose Garden? I mean, speaking of, he's not only, I can make a list of adjectives, and I've spewed so many, cruel, narcissistic, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But you know what else he is? He is like the epitome of somebody who has no appreciation, no aesthetic appreciation, no appreciation for nature, for beauty, for real beauty. All you have to do is look at his Mar-a-Lago or anything he touches, what he thinks of as beautiful, besides coal. It's gaudy. It's grotesque. It is the farthest thing from beauty. And you may have heard he's taken out is it a mulberry or a magnolia tree that was planted by President Andrew Jackson, who he supposedly adores 122 years ago. Oldest tree on the property. And he's pulled it because its roots are in the way of paving the area in the road. I don't think he's paving over the roses, but in between the roses, he wants really beautiful, I guess, concrete. I don't know. And he's also said he wants to build a beautiful, magnificent ballroom in the White House. which again means some god-awful, gilded, gaudy, golden horror show. I mean, if you've seen what he's done to the Oval Office, it's just so just repulsive. And stop and think of all the money he's wasting doing this. I mean, just think, Mr. Yeah, let's stop wasting money. Uneffin' believable. God. Okay, so before I go, I just have to leave you with, I have other serious things here, but I just can't. I watched a movie last night. First of all, I was watching movies that I probably seen 10, 15 times. I am, because I love old movies and I love great old movies. I think I watched Mrs. Miniver again, and I could probably by heart do entire scenes of that movie, and yet I'll watch it again because it's so wondrous and so moving. But then there is a movie that came on, and it's an old movie too, but I'd never seen it. And I thought, yeah, you should watch it. I mean, what are you going to do? Watch the effing news? So I did. And yeah, kind of sort of liked it a bit. It's not my cup of tea necessarily, but it's the movie that was pretty much, I think, written, directed, you know, that one person did all of it, and that is the movie Yentl, which stars Barbra Streisand, directed by Barbra Streisand, yada 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 yada. And I watched that, and you know, she plays a girl passing for a boy in like 1905 in a shtetl, a Jewish ghetto, trying because she loved to study the Torah, and that was something only boys could do. So that's the basis of it. You know, falls in love with another boy, played by Mandy Patinkin, and she breaks into song every now and then. But the reason I watched it was because it conjured up this bizarre memory. And I don't know why I'm sharing it with you, but I went down a tunnel in my head last night, which cost me a good night's sleep, I might add, as a result. And to start the story, we have to return to my beginning in broadcasting, to my first job, which was at a television station in Madison, Wisconsin. And the year, I don't know, would be like 1976, maybe. And I got this job. I was a young 20 something married woman living on a pig farm. My husband was a young new lawyer, and I got this job. I was the first woman that was doing news and weather at this television station, and then I became the first anchor woman there. one of the guys behind the camera on weekends when I was anchoring was a graduate student. Stay with me on this. Was a graduate student at the University of Wisconsin in Madison. And I don't know what he was a graduate student. I can't remember. But we would talk. It was just a job he had to help him through school. He was also from Green Bay. And so we talk about that. He was younger than me by about, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. But what a nice, smart guy. And so we enjoyed each other's company while we were at work. My memory, and believe me, I was digging through it last night. His name, by the way, was Rusty. Do people really name their kid Rusty? Or is that short for like Russell or something? I don't know. As far as I know, his name is Rusty Lemerond, which was a very Green Bay name. I knew other Lemeronds from Green Bay. And Rusty Lemerond all of a sudden disappeared from the studio. He wasn't behind the camera anymore. And we stayed in touch a bit, and he called and said that he'd gotten another job as sort of like an assistant or a gopher for a film that was shooting in the area, in Madison. Now, if I dig around, and I almost, when I couldn't sleep, was going to be digging around films made in and around Madison, Wisconsin in 19, let's say, I don't know, 77, 78. I don't know. Because Rusty Lemerond talked his way into a job, a gophery job, doing whatever anybody asked him to do on this location shoot. And the next thing you know, he was off to Hollywood. The director or whoever it was found him delightful, found him indispensable, and off Rusty went. Goodbye, Madison. Goodbye, grad school. And whoa, off he went. And the next time I heard from him was one of the most mind-blowing phone calls I've ever had. He called from California just to say hi, to wonder how I was doing, and to say he'd been producing stuff. And that he was going to produce a film with Barbra Streisand. And I can't compute that. He was a kid from Green Bay, not from a wealthy family. Producers have money. I know his talent had gotten him out there, but how the hell was he producing? And what? With Barbra Streisand. And he said to me, I'm having so much fun, and I just thought of you because she reminds me of you. That was our last phone call. I've never spoken to Rusty again. The movie turned out years later, because I was still in Madison when he called, and I checked, and Yentl came out in '83. The movie was Yentl. And so I Googled who produced Yentl. And he did, with Barbara Streisand. What the hell? I've never talked to him since. His Wikipedia, which I looked up, says he's an American screenwriter, director, actor, and producer who directed the '89 film Journey to the Center of the Earth, as well as a '92 adaptation of The Turn of the Screw. He was production executive for Caddyshack. And I know he also had worked with Michael Jackson on some big thing, but this is anyway. I could not get Rusty out of my head last night. There's I don't know how to go through the internet. I'm looking all over. He's very low profile, and yet he's worked with so many fascinating people. It's just mind blowing. I just wanted to say. So last night I watched Yentl and I thought of the grad student behind that studio camera in the studio at WISC TV in Madison, Wisconsin, Rusty Lemeron from Green Bay. Whoa. The turns that lives take. Nice guy. Couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. So anyway, I just wanted to tell you that because it has nothing to do with anything, except I still can't get him out of my head. So listen, guys, happy Passover to my Jewish listeners, and I should be back Monday. I intend to get back from Green Bay in time to do the show. Okay? Have a good one. Please.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.